What if the ocean you love is quietly dying beneath familiar waves? Imagine standing on a beach where life once thrived but now fades. The water still sparkles, yet something vital underneath is disappearing fast. You hear waves crashing, but they whisper a warning we ignore. Beneath that beauty lies a crisis growing deeper with every passing year. The oceans cover most of our planet, yet we barely understand them. They regulate climate, produce oxygen, and sustain millions of living species. But today, these life-giving waters are facing threats never seen before. Climate change and overfishing are silently reshaping the future of our oceans. And the frightening part is how invisible these changes often seem. Fish populations decline without headlines. Coral reefs bleach without loud alarms sounding. Entire ecosystems collapse far from sight, hidden beneath miles of water. Yet their impact reaches your life more directly than you realize. The seafood on your plate, the air you breathe, all connected deeply. What happens in the ocean never truly stays in the ocean. Scientists warn that we are approaching dangerous tipping points in marine ecosystems. Once crossed, these points could trigger irreversible damage across global ocean systems. But most people continue living unaware of this silent transformation unfolding. It is not a distant problem affecting only scientists or environmental activists. This crisis touches economies, food security, and global stability in profound ways. Imagine a future where fish become rare luxuries instead of common food. Imagine coastal communities losing livelihoods passed down through many generations. Imagine oceans losing their vibrant colors, becoming lifeless blue deserts instead. This is not fiction, but a very real possibility we face today. Climate change warms waters, disrupts currents, and alters marine life patterns significantly. Overfishing removes species faster than they can naturally replenish their populations. Together, these forces create a dangerous imbalance within delicate ocean ecosystems worldwide. And once balance is lost, recovery becomes incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible entirely. Yet despite these warnings, action remains slow and often insufficient globally. Why do we ignore something so critical to our survival and future? Perhaps because the ocean feels distant, vast, and impossible to truly harm. But human activity has already proven powerful enough to reshape entire environments. We have changed the climate, and oceans are absorbing much of that impact. Rising temperatures cause coral bleaching, killing reefs that support countless marine species. Acidification weakens shells and disrupts food chains from the smallest organisms upward. These changes ripple through ecosystems, affecting everything from plankton to massive whales. And when the foundation weakens, the entire structure begins to collapse. Overfishing adds further strain, removing key species that maintain ecological balance naturally. Without predators, some populations explode, while others vanish completely from ecosystems. This imbalance creates unpredictable consequences that scientists struggle to fully understand. Yet one thing is certain: the ocean cannot sustain unlimited human exploitation. We are taking more than the ocean can give back sustainably. And the longer we ignore this, the harder it becomes to reverse. The question is no longer whether oceans are in danger, but how severe. And more importantly, how soon these dangers will impact our everyday lives. The truth is, that moment may be closer than we think. Every year, signs grow stronger, clearer, and harder to dismiss or ignore. But awareness alone is not enough to change the course ahead. We must understand the depth of this problem before meaningful action happens. And that understanding begins with recognizing what is truly at stake. The ocean is not just water. It is life itself in motion. It connects continents, regulates weather, and supports billions of people worldwide. Losing its balance means risking the stability of our entire planet. And yet, we continue pushing it toward dangerous limits without hesitation. This is the reality we must confront, no matter how uncomfortable it feels, because ignoring it will not make the problem disappear or resolve itself. Instead, it will grow stronger, deeper, and far more difficult to control. The ocean is sending signals, and it is time we finally listen. What you are about to discover may change how you see everything, because this story is not just about oceans, but about our shared future. Now imagine a fisherman returning home with nets far emptier than before. His father once caught abundant fish in the same waters decades earlier. Today, he sails farther, works harder, yet earns significantly less than expected. This story repeats across coastal communities all around the world today. Overfishing has quietly reduced fish populations beyond sustainable recovery levels globally. Modern technology allows fleets to locate and capture fish with extreme efficiency. What once took days now happens within hours using advanced tracking systems. But this efficiency comes at a devastating cost to marine biodiversity. Fish are removed faster than they can reproduce and restore their numbers. Some species have declined by more than 90% in recent decades. Entire fisheries collapse when critical thresholds are crossed without proper management. And when one species disappears, the entire ecosystem begins to destabilize rapidly. This creates a chain reaction affecting predators, prey, and surrounding habitats alike. Meanwhile, climate change intensifies these challenges in unexpected and complex ways. Rising ocean temperatures force fish to migrate toward cooler, unfamiliar regions. This disrupts traditional fishing zones and threatens livelihoods dependent on predictable patterns. Coral reefs, often called ocean rainforests, suffer severe damage from warming waters. When corals bleach, they lose essential algae and slowly starve to death. These reefs support nearly a quarter of all marine species globally. Losing them means losing entire ecosystems that rely on their structure and protection. Imagine a vibrant underwater city suddenly turning into a lifeless, abandoned ruin. That is exactly what happens when coral ecosystems collapse under environmental stress. Ocean acidification adds another invisible but powerful threat to marine life stability. Increased carbon dioxide dissolves into seawater, altering its chemical composition dangerously. Shell-forming organisms struggle to build and maintain their protective structures effectively. This affects creatures like plankton, which form the base of marine food webs. When the foundation weakens, everything above it becomes increasingly vulnerable to collapse. These changes may seem distant, but they directly impact human food systems globally. Seafood provides essential protein for billions of people, especially in coastal regions. As fish populations decline, food security becomes a growing concern worldwide today. Prices rise, availability drops, and communities face increasing economic and nutritional challenges. Yet demand continues rising as the global population grows and consumption increases steadily. This creates intense pressure on already strained marine ecosystems struggling to recover naturally. Some governments attempt regulations, but enforcement often remains inconsistent or insufficient globally. Illegal fishing operations exploit weak oversight, removing vast quantities of fish unnoticed. These practices undermine conservation efforts and accelerate the decline of vulnerable species. At the same time, climate change continues altering ocean currents and weather patterns. Storms become stronger, sea levels rise, and coastal habitats face greater destruction. Mangroves and wetlands which protect coastlines, are disappearing at alarming rates today. These natural barriers also serve as nurseries for many important marine species. Losing them reduces the ocean's ability to replenish and sustain fish populations. Everything in the ocean is interconnected, forming a delicate and complex balance. Disrupt one part, and the consequences spread far beyond initial expectations. What seems like a small change can trigger widespread and lasting impacts globally. This is why understanding the full picture is so critically important today. The ocean is not just vast water, but a finely tuned living system. And right now, that system is under immense pressure from multiple directions. But despite these challenges, hope still exists if action happens soon enough. Solutions are possible, but they require awareness, responsibility, and collective global effort. Every choice we make can either harm or help the ocean's future. From consumption habits to policy support, individual actions contribute to larger outcomes. But before solutions, we must confront the deeper truth behind this crisis. Because what we see now is only part of the story unfolding. Beneath the surface, even more surprising and concerning realities are emerging rapidly. These realities challenge our assumptions and force us to rethink everything entirely. What if the ocean is not just changing, but what if the greatest threat is not what we see, but timing? Scientists now believe we may be closer to irreversible damage than expected. The ocean is not declining slowly. In some areas, it shifts suddenly. These sudden shifts are known as tipping points within complex environmental systems. Once crossed, recovery may become impossible within any meaningful human time frame. This is where the story takes a far more unsettling turn today. Because many of these tipping points may already be dangerously close. Coral reefs, for example, could largely disappear within this century if trends continue. That would eliminate habitats supporting millions of marine species across global oceans. But the impact does not stop beneath the surface as expected. Oceans absorb vast amounts of carbon dioxide, helping regulate Earth's climate naturally. If ocean systems weaken, their ability to absorb carbon reduces significantly. This accelerates climate change, creating a dangerous feedback loop affecting the planet. Warmer oceans release more heat, fueling stronger storms and extreme weather events. This means ocean damage directly intensifies disasters experienced on land globally. Now consider another surprising and often overlooked consequence emerging rapidly today. As fish populations collapse, illegal and unregulated fishing activities tend to increase. This fuels economic instability and even conflict in vulnerable coastal regions worldwide. Competition over shrinking resources can escalate tensions between communities and nations. In some cases, it contributes to migration as livelihoods become unsustainable locally. The ocean crisis is not isolated. It connects deeply with global stability. But here is where the perspective shift becomes even more profound. We often think of oceans as resilient, capable of recovering over time. And historically, they have shown remarkable ability to bounce back from damage. However, current pressures are unlike anything experienced in human history before. Climate change and overfishing are occurring simultaneously at unprecedented global scales. This combination creates conditions that ecosystems may not adapt to quickly enough. In the past, nature had time to recover between disturbances and changes. Today, those disturbances happen continuously, leaving little room for recovery cycles. This means resilience itself is now under threat in ocean systems. Even more concerning is how uneven these impacts are across different regions. Some areas may collapse sooner, creating cascading effects across connected ecosystems globally. Ocean currents link distant regions, spreading both life and environmental disruptions widely. What happens in one part of the ocean affects others unpredictably. This interconnectedness makes managing the crisis far more complex than assumed. Now consider the role of something even smaller yet incredibly powerful. Microscopic plankton produce a significant portion of Earth's oxygen supply daily. They also form the base of nearly all marine food chains globally. Changes in temperature and acidity threaten these tiny but vital organisms severely. If plankton populations decline, the effects could reach every level of life. This includes impacts on oxygen production and global carbon cycling processes. Suddenly, the ocean crisis becomes a direct concern for human survival itself. It is no longer just about biodiversity or conservation for future generations. It is about maintaining systems that support life on Earth right now. This realization changes how we must think about the entire situation. The ocean is not separate from us. It is deeply integrated into existence. Every breath you take connects back to processes happening in ocean ecosystems. Every climate pattern depends partly on the ocean's health and stability. Yet despite this, awareness remains limited and action often delayed or insufficient. This gap between knowledge and action is perhaps the greatest danger today. Because time is not unlimited when dealing with tipping points and thresholds, the window for meaningful change may be narrowing faster than expected. But recognizing this urgency also creates an opportunity for transformation globally. Humanity has the capacity to change course when faced with clear evidence. The challenge lies in acting before consequences become irreversible and uncontrollable. This is the moment where awareness must turn into decisive global action, because what happens next depends on choices made within the coming years, and those choices will shape the future of oceans and humanity alike. The story is not over yet, but its direction remains uncertain. What comes next will depend on the choices we make together. Now the question becomes simple, yet incredibly urgent for every one of us. What are we willing to do to protect something so vital to survival? The ocean's future is not predetermined. It depends on choices made today. Governments, industries, and individuals all play roles in shaping what happens next. Change begins with awareness, but it must quickly turn into meaningful action. Sustainable fishing practices can allow marine populations to recover over time naturally. This means setting limits, protecting breeding seasons, and reducing harmful fishing methods globally. Consumers also hold power through the choices they make every single day. Choosing sustainably sourced seafood can reduce pressure on vulnerable fish populations worldwide. Supporting responsible companies encourages better practices across the entire fishing industry globally. Climate action is equally essential in protecting ocean ecosystems from further damage. Reducing carbon emissions slows warming and helps stabilize marine environments worldwide. Transitioning to renewable energy sources plays a major role in this effort. Even small lifestyle changes contribute to a larger collective impact over time. Reducing waste, conserving energy, and making conscious decisions can drive meaningful change. Protecting coastal ecosystems like mangroves and wetlands is also critically important today. These areas act as natural defenses and support marine life reproduction cycles. Restoration projects around the world are already showing promising and encouraging results. Marine protected areas give ecosystems space and time to recover from damage. When properly enforced, these zones can significantly boost biodiversity and fish populations. Education plays a powerful role in shaping future generations and their decisions. The more people understand the ocean, the more likely they are to protect it. Awareness spreads through conversations, media, and the stories we choose to share. Your voice can influence others and create ripple effects far beyond expectation. The challenge may feel overwhelming, but progress often starts with small steps. History shows that collective action can solve even the most complex global problems. The key is persistence, collaboration, and a willingness to change current behaviors. We cannot undo all damage immediately, but we can prevent further harm. Every year of action makes a difference in slowing and reversing negative trends. Scientists, activists, and communities are already working toward solutions worldwide today. Their efforts demonstrate that recovery is possible when commitment remains strong. But they cannot succeed alone without broader global support and participation. This is where you become part of the solution, not just an observer. Your awareness, choices, and actions contribute to a much larger global movement. Imagine a future where oceans thrive once again with abundant life. Coral reefs regain their colors, and fish populations return to sustainable levels. Coastal communities flourish, supported by healthy and resilient marine ecosystems globally. This future is not unrealistic. It is entirely within reach with effort, but it requires urgency, commitment, and a shift in how we act. Waiting longer only increases the cost and difficulty of meaningful recovery. The time to act is not someday. It is right now. Because every delay pushes ecosystems closer to irreversible tipping points globally. The ocean has given humanity so much without asking anything in return. Now it is our responsibility to protect and preserve it for generations. This is not just an environmental issue. It is a human responsibility. It defines the kind of world we choose to leave behind. Will we be remembered as those who ignored the warning signs completely, or as those who acted decisively when it mattered most in history? The answer depends on what we choose to do next collectively. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to a larger positive impact. You have more influence than you may realize in shaping outcomes ahead. Change begins with understanding, but it is driven by consistent action daily. The ocean story is still being written, and you are part of it. What you choose today will echo across generations in ways unimaginable. This is your opportunity to be part of something truly meaningful, to protect life, restore balance, and secure a better future for all. The ocean is calling for help, and it is time to respond, not with fear, but with determination, responsibility, and hope for change. Because the power to protect our oceans lies within all of us. And together, we can still turn this story into one of recovery. Beyond visible damage, the ocean crisis carries deeper, often overlooked consequences today. These losses are not always immediate, but they shape our future profoundly. One of the greatest losses is biodiversity, the richness of life itself. Every species lost weakens the balance that ecosystems depend on for survival. Some marine species disappear before we even discover their existence fully. This means losing potential knowledge, medicine, and scientific breakthroughs forever. The ocean holds secrets that could benefit humanity in unimaginable ways, but those secrets vanish when ecosystems collapse and species go extinct. Cultural traditions tied to oceans are also fading in many regions worldwide. Fishing communities lose identities built over generations of deep ocean connection. Knowledge passed from elders to younger generations begins to disappear gradually. This loss is not just economic, it is deeply emotional and cultural. Coastal tourism also suffers as marine beauty declines and ecosystems degrade rapidly. Coral reefs once attracted millions of visitors with vibrant underwater experiences. Now, many of those reefs are bleached, damaged, or completely destroyed. This affects local economies dependent on tourism for survival and growth. The ripple effects extend to businesses, workers, and entire communities globally. Even global weather patterns depend on healthy oceans functioning properly over time. Oceans help regulate temperatures, distribute heat, and influence rainfall across continents. Disrupting these systems leads to unpredictable and extreme weather conditions worldwide. Farmers, cities, and ecosystems all feel the impact of these changes. The cost of inaction becomes higher with every passing year today. Yet many still underestimate the full scale of these interconnected consequences. We often measure loss in numbers, but its real impact goes deeper. It affects stability, security, and the future of life on Earth. The ocean is not just a resource, it is a life support system, and we are slowly damaging it without fully understanding the consequences. Another hidden cost is the imbalance created within marine food chains. Removing one species disrupts relationships that evolved over millions of years. This creates unpredictable shifts that can lead to sudden ecosystem collapse. In some cases, invasive species take over, further destabilizing environments globally. These changes are difficult to reverse once they take hold permanently. Plastic pollution adds another layer of complexity to the ongoing crisis. Millions of tons of plastic enter oceans every year, harming marine life. Animals ingest plastic or become entangled, leading to injury or death. Microplastics now exist in water, food chains, and even human bodies. This reveals how deeply connected ocean health is to human health. The problem is not isolated. It affects every level of life. Economic systems also rely heavily on oceans for trade and transportation globally. Disruptions to ocean health can impact shipping routes and global supply chains. This affects prices, availability of goods, and economic stability worldwide. The cost of restoring damaged ecosystems is far higher than protecting them early. Prevention is always more effective than trying to repair irreversible damage later. Yet global response often comes only after visible damage becomes undeniable. This delay reduces the chances of full recovery for many ecosystems. The longer we wait, the fewer options remain available for solutions. But understanding these hidden costs can change how we approach this crisis. It reveals that protecting oceans is not optional, but essential for survival. Every system we depend on connects back to ocean health in some way. This realization shifts the conversation from concern to urgent responsibility globally. We are not just protecting oceans, we are protecting ourselves and future generations. The cost of ignoring this truth is far too great to accept. But awareness alone is not enough to create meaningful change today. We must begin translating knowledge into action across all levels of society. The next step is understanding how solutions can truly make an impact. Because solutions do exist, and they are already being tested worldwide, the challenge is scaling them fast enough to meet the urgency required. And that is where the next part of this journey begins. Because hope is not lost, but it requires commitment and immediate action. What comes next will reveal how change is already starting to happen. Despite the severity of this crisis, real solutions are already emerging worldwide today. These solutions prove that change is not only possible, but already underway. In many regions, Sustainable fishing practices are helping fish populations recover gradually. Strict quotas and monitoring systems ensure species are not overexploited beyond limits. Some fisheries once considered collapsed are now showing signs of strong recovery. This demonstrates the ocean's ability to heal when given proper protection. Marine protected areas are expanding across oceans, offering safe havens for biodiversity. These zones allow ecosystems to regenerate without constant human pressure and exploitation. Over time, surrounding areas also benefit from increased fish populations spilling outward. This creates a balance between conservation and economic sustainability for local communities. Technology is also playing a crucial role in protecting marine environments globally. Satellites now track illegal fishing activities with greater accuracy and efficiency. This helps authorities take action against those exploiting oceans unlawfully today. Transparency in supply chains allows consumers to make more informed choices easily. Certifications for sustainable seafood guide people toward environmentally responsible purchasing decisions. Renewable energy adoption reduces reliance on fossil fuels that drive climate change. Offshore wind farms and solar technologies are becoming more common globally. These innovations help reduce emissions that contribute to ocean warming and acidification. Scientists are also exploring ways to restore damaged marine ecosystems effectively. Coral restoration projects involve growing corals in nurseries and replanting them. Some of these projects have successfully revived sections of previously damaged reefs. Mangrove restoration efforts protect coastlines while supporting marine life reproduction cycles. These natural solutions provide both environmental and economic benefits simultaneously. Community involvement has proven essential in many successful conservation efforts worldwide. Local communities often become the strongest protectors of their surrounding environments. When people see direct benefits, they are more likely to support conservation measures. Education and awareness campaigns are shifting public attitudes toward ocean protection gradually. More people now understand the connection between daily choices and ocean health. Businesses are also beginning to adopt more sustainable practices across industries globally. Reducing plastic use, improving waste management, and minimizing environmental impact are key steps. Some companies are investing in ocean cleanup and conservation initiatives worldwide. Governments are forming international agreements to address ocean-related challenges collectively. These agreements aim to reduce emissions, regulate fishing, and protect marine biodiversity. While progress may seem slow, it represents a significant shift in global priorities. Collaboration between nations is essential in managing shared ocean resources effectively. Innovation continues to bring new ideas and technologies into ocean conservation efforts. Researchers are developing materials that reduce pollution and minimize environmental harm. Data analysis helps predict changes and guide better decision-making for sustainability. These advancements provide tools needed to tackle complex challenges facing oceans today. However, solutions require consistent support and commitment to achieve long-term success. Short-term efforts are not enough to reverse decades of environmental damage fully. Progress depends on sustained action across multiple sectors and communities worldwide. The good news is that momentum is building faster than before globally. More people are recognizing the urgency and taking steps toward positive change. This growing awareness is a powerful force driving transformation across societies today. It shows that collective action can lead to meaningful and measurable improvements. The ocean's recovery is not just a dream, but a realistic possibility. But it requires continued effort and determination from everyone involved globally. Every success story proves that change is achievable when action is taken. These examples serve as inspiration for further efforts and broader participation worldwide. Yet, challenges remain, and the journey toward full recovery is far from complete. There are still obstacles that must be addressed to ensure lasting success. Understanding these challenges is crucial for building effective long-term strategies globally. Because solutions must evolve as conditions continue changing. If solutions exist, why does the crisis still seem to be worsening? The answer lies in complex barriers that slow progress across global systems. One major challenge is the gap between awareness and meaningful, consistent action. Many people understand the problem, but struggle to change daily habits effectively. Convenience often outweighs responsibility when making choices that impact the environment. This creates a disconnect between knowledge and behavior across societies worldwide. Governments also face challenges balancing economic growth with environmental protection priorities. Industries dependent on ocean resources often resist regulations that limit their profits. This resistance can delay policies needed to protect marine ecosystems effectively. Political decisions are influenced by short-term gains rather than long-term sustainability goals. As a result, progress becomes inconsistent and sometimes even reversed entirely. Another barrier is the lack of enforcement for existing environmental regulations globally. Laws may exist, but monitoring and enforcement remain weak in many regions. Illegal fishing continues because penalties are often insufficient or poorly applied. This undermines conservation efforts and discourages those following responsible practices. Funding is also a significant obstacle in scaling solutions to a global level. Conservation projects require resources, technology, and long-term financial support to succeed. Many initiatives struggle to maintain operations without consistent funding sources available. Developing nations often lack resources to implement effective ocean protection strategies fully. Yet these regions are among the most dependent on marine resources for survival. This creates inequality in both responsibility and ability to address the crisis. Another critical challenge is the complexity of ocean ecosystems themselves globally. Scientists are still discovering how different factors interact within marine environments. This uncertainty makes it difficult to predict outcomes and design perfect solutions. Climate change adds another unpredictable layer to already complex systems worldwide. Changing temperatures and conditions alter how ecosystems respond to conservation efforts. What works in one region may not work effectively in another area. This requires flexible and adaptive strategies rather than one universal solution approach. Public attention also shifts quickly, making sustained focus on ocean issues difficult. News cycles move fast, and environmental concerns can lose visibility over time. Without constant attention, momentum for change can slow down significantly. Education gaps still exist, especially in regions with limited access to information. Many people remain unaware of how deeply ocean health affects their lives. Bridging this gap is essential for building widespread support for solutions. Corporate accountability remains another critical issue affecting progress globally today. Some companies prioritize profit over sustainability despite growing public awareness concerns. Greenwashing can mislead consumers into believing harmful practices are environmentally friendly. This slows real progress and creates confusion about effective solutions available. International cooperation also faces challenges due to differing national interests worldwide. Countries may prioritize their own economic needs over global environmental responsibilities. This creates conflicts when managing shared ocean resources across borders effectively. Trust and collaboration are essential but not always easy to achieve. Despite these barriers, progress is still possible with persistent effort globally. Recognizing these challenges helps identify where improvements must be made urgently. Solutions must address not only environmental factors, but also social and economic realities. This requires a holistic approach that considers all aspects of the issue. The path forward is not simple, but it is still achievable collectively. Every barrier can be overcome with innovation, collaboration, and strong leadership. History shows that humanity can solve complex problems when united in purpose. The key is maintaining focus and commitment despite challenges along the way. Progress may be slower than desired, but it is still moving forward. Each step brings us closer to restoring balance within ocean ecosystems globally. The challenge now is accelerating that progress before time runs out. This requires stronger action, better policies, and greater public engagement worldwide. It also demands accountability from those with the greatest influence and power. Because meaningful change often begins with leadership, it is easy to believe individual actions do not matter in global crises. But history shows that collective small actions can create powerful transformations worldwide. Every major change begins with individuals deciding to act differently each day. The ocean crisis is no exception to this powerful and proven truth. Your daily choices directly influence demand, production, and environmental impact globally. What you buy, consume, and support shapes industries more than you realize. Choosing sustainable seafood helps reduce pressure on overexploited marine species populations. Avoiding single-use plastics prevents harmful waste from entering ocean ecosystems worldwide. Even reducing energy consumption contributes to lowering carbon emissions affecting oceans. These actions may seem small, but their combined effect is incredibly significant. When millions of people make similar choices, industries are forced to adapt. This creates a shift toward more sustainable practices across global markets. Awareness also spreads through conversations with friends, family, and communities daily. Sharing knowledge helps others understand the importance of protecting ocean ecosystems. Social media platforms amplify these messages, reaching audiences across different regions worldwide. One voice can inspire many, creating a ripple effect of awareness. Supporting organizations dedicated to ocean conservation strengthens their ability to create change. Donations, volunteering, or advocacy can make a meaningful difference over time. Voting for policies that prioritize environmental protection influences government decisions significantly. Public demand for change often drives leaders to take stronger action globally. Education plays a critical role in empowering individuals to make informed decisions. The more you understand, the more confident you become in taking action. This knowledge also helps identify misinformation and avoid ineffective or harmful practices. Conscious living becomes easier when awareness guides everyday choices and behaviors. Reducing waste at home can significantly lower environmental impact on oceans. Recycling properly ensures materials are reused instead of polluting marine environments. Supporting businesses committed to sustainability encourages responsible corporate behavior globally. Companies respond to consumer demand, making your choices more influential than expected. Traveling responsibly also helps protect fragile coastal and marine ecosystems worldwide. Respecting wildlife and avoiding harmful activities preserves natural habitats for future generations. Even small lifestyle changes can inspire others to follow similar paths. This creates a chain reaction of positive behavior across communities and societies. The idea that one person cannot make a difference is simply untrue. Every movement in history began with individuals choosing to take action. The ocean needs that same collective effort from people everywhere today. While large-scale solutions are essential, they are supported by individual contributions. Together, these efforts create the momentum needed for lasting global change. The power of individuals lies in consistency rather than isolated actions. Small steps taken regularly lead to meaningful and lasting impact over time. The key is not perfection, but commitment to making better choices consistently. Everyone has a role to play, regardless of location or circumstances. You do not need to live near the ocean to protect it. Your actions still contribute to the health of global marine ecosystems. This understanding breaks the illusion that responsibility belongs only to others. It reminds us that we are all connected through this shared planet. The ocean connects continents, climates, and communities across the world. Protecting it requires participation from people in every corner of society. The good news is that this participation is already growing rapidly worldwide. More individuals are becoming aware and taking steps toward positive change. This growing movement is a powerful force for protecting ocean ecosystems globally. It shows that people are willing to act when they understand urgency. The challenge now is maintaining and expanding this momentum further, because the more people involved, the greater the impact becomes overall. This is how small actions transform into large-scale global change effectively. The ocean's future depends not only on policies, but on people. And people like you are at the center of this transformation. The next step is understanding what kind of future we are building. Because the choices we make today will define tomorrow's reality clearly. The ocean's future is not a single outcome, but two possible realities. One future leads toward recovery, balance, and restored marine ecosystems worldwide. The other leads toward collapse, scarcity, and irreversible environmental damage globally. The path we take depends entirely on decisions made in this generation. In the first future, overfishing is carefully managed and strictly regulated globally. Fish populations gradually recover, restoring balance to marine food chains naturally. Coral reefs begin to heal through protection and active restoration efforts worldwide. Coastal communities thrive again with sustainable fishing and eco-friendly tourism systems. Ocean biodiversity increases, strengthening ecosystems and improving global environmental stability overall. Clean oceans support climate regulation, helping stabilize weather patterns across continents. Marine protected areas expand, creating safe zones for wildlife to regenerate. International cooperation becomes stronger, ensuring shared responsibility for ocean conservation globally. Technology supports monitoring, restoration, and sustainable resource management across all regions. Education creates a generation deeply aware of ocean importance and protection. This future is not perfect, but it is stable and sustainable. Now imagine the second future, where inaction continues and problems intensify. Fish populations collapse beyond recovery in many regions around the world. Coral reefs disappear, leaving lifeless underwater landscapes across vast ocean areas. Coastal communities lose livelihoods, forcing migration and economic instability globally. Food shortages increase as seafood becomes scarce and expensive for populations. Ocean ecosystems become unstable, triggering unpredictable environmental changes worldwide. Climate change accelerates as oceans lose their ability to absorb carbon. Extreme weather events become more frequent and destructive across all continents. Biodiversity loss reaches critical levels. weakening Earth's natural support system significantly. The ocean becomes less capable of sustaining human life as before. This future is not science fiction. It is a realistic projection. The difference between these two futures lies in actions taken today. Every policy, every choice, every effort pushes us toward one direction. There is no neutral path. Inaction itself becomes a decision with consequences. The ocean is already responding to the pressures placed upon it, but it still has the capacity to recover if given time. Nature has repeatedly shown resilience when humans allow it to heal. The question is whether we will provide that opportunity in time. Scientific evidence clearly shows both risks and possibilities for recovery globally. This makes the current moment one of the most critical in history, because decisions made now will echo for centuries into the future. The ocean is not just an environmental issue, it is a legacy issue. It determines what kind of world future generations will inherit. Will they inherit abundance or struggle due to today's inaction? That answer is still being written by collective human behavior today. Governments, industries, and individuals all contribute to shaping this outcome. No single group can solve it alone without global cooperation and effort. The stakes are too high for delay, hesitation, or partial solutions. Every delay reduces the chances of achieving the positive future scenario, but every action increases the likelihood of recovery and restoration globally. This balance between risk and opportunity defines the present moment clearly. We are standing at a crossroads between two very different futures. One path leads to restoration and hope for ocean ecosystems worldwide. The other leads to decline and irreversible damage across marine environments. The direction is not predetermined. It is actively shaped by us. Awareness alone is not enough without sustained and meaningful action. Commitment must follow understanding if real change is to occur. The ocean is still fighting to maintain its balance and vitality. It is not too late, but the window is narrowing rapidly. What we choose now will define the outcome for generations ahead. This is why urgency matters more than ever before in history. Because time is the most critical factor in determining recovery success. And the final part will bring everything together into one message. A message about responsibility, hope, and the power to change outcomes. Because the future of the ocean is still in our hands. Everything we have explored leads to one undeniable and powerful truth today. The ocean is suffering, but it is not yet beyond hope or repair. What happens next depends on how we respond to this knowledge together. We are not powerless observers. We are active participants in this story. Every decision we make contributes to shaping the future of our oceans. Responsibility does not belong to a single group, but to everyone equally. Governments must strengthen protections and enforce laws that safeguard marine ecosystems globally. Industries must adopt sustainable practices that prioritize long-term environmental health. Scientists must continue researching solutions that restore balance and ecological stability. Communities must remain engaged and committed to protecting local marine environments. And individuals must continue making conscious choices that reduce environmental harm. When all these forces align, meaningful transformation becomes possible on a global scale. The ocean has supported life on Earth for millions of years. It regulates climate, produces oxygen, and sustains countless interconnected ecosystems worldwide. Yet, it has given endlessly while receiving little in return from humanity. Now, it is time to restore that balance through collective global responsibility. This is not about fear. but about understanding and meaningful action today. Fear paralyzes, but awareness combined with action creates powerful positive change. The ocean does not need perfection from us, only consistent effort and care. Even small steps, when multiplied across billions of people, become extraordinary change. Imagine oceans filled again with life, color, and ecological balance restored fully. Imagine future generations experiencing marine worlds, rich with diversity and wonder. This vision is not impossible. It is achievable with sustained global commitment, but achieving it requires urgency, cooperation, and determination starting right now. We must stop treating the ocean as an endless resource without limits. Instead, we must see it as a shared lifeline that demands protection. The science is clear, the warnings are strong, and the solutions exist. What remains is the willingness to act decisively and collectively worldwide. Every delay increases risk, while every action increases the chance of recovery. This is the balance we must understand if we want real change. The ocean's story is still unfolding, and its ending is not written. We hold the power to influence how that story ultimately concludes. It is a rare moment in history where action can still change outcomes. Future generations will look back at this time and judge our response. They will ask whether we understood the crisis and acted in time, or whether we ignored clear warnings until it was too late. That responsibility now rests on all of us, without exception or delay. Hope is not passive. It is built through deliberate and consistent action. And that hope grows stronger every time someone chooses to care deeply. The ocean is calling for protection, and its message is urgent today. We cannot separate human survival from the health of marine ecosystems. They are interconnected in ways that sustain life across the entire planet. Protecting the ocean means protecting climate stability, food security, and biodiversity. It means safeguarding the foundation of life itself on Earth. This is why the ocean matters more than we often realize daily. And this is why its protection must become a global priority immediately. We still have time to change direction, but that time is limited. Every moment matters, every action counts, and every choice has consequences. The responsibility is great, but so is the opportunity for transformation. We are capable of solving this challenge if we choose unity and action. The ocean's future is still open, still fragile, and still worth saving. It depends on whether we act with urgency or continue delaying change. The story does not end here. It continues with what we do next. And that next chapter is being written right now by all of us. Let it be a story of restoration rather than irreversible loss. Let it be a story of responsibility rather than neglect or delay. Let it be a story of humanity choosing to protect what sustains life. Because the ocean is not just part of our world, it is our world, and its survival is directly tied to our own survival and future.